Hello, hello, Margarita here. Happy New Year and welcome to the Rise Up with Margarita show. This is the first episode of 2022 and I welcome you. And so for every single episode, it's a weekly show, Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern, where I invite those new emerging leaders of light to rise up higher and really show up in the world and lead their movement. And I'm really here to help you do that and also help you step into that next level of what that is for you. So, hello, hello, happy new year to you. Loving all these celebrations and the salutations in the comments. And so today's topic is actually going to be very appropriate for calling in this energy, because the reason I even chose this topic for today is because it is so important to wrap your head around what you're creating and be very conscious about it when you are starting anything, right? Much less a new year. And so when I thought about 2022 and how that could really help you and how I could help you in 2022, the first thing I wanted to do was help you get really clear on what it is you're here to create, because that is really, really important. And part of being in your clarity, and you've heard me say this before, is in the doing and the action of that. But it's also, well, how do you take action? How do you be in that alignment? How do you stay in alignment? How do you stay committed to that alignment, right? And so today's topic is really going to help you with that. It is Power Affirmations for 2022. And so I don't talk about affirmations all that much. I usually tend to call them I am statements or declarations, things like that, because it's really important to be very clear about what you're calling in, because everything you're doing is literally an intention that you're putting out in the universe. Like, even if you're having an experience in your life, and it's fine to have your disappointments and your sadness and things like that, right? And so that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying be happy 24/7, 24/7, throughout your life. But what I am saying is be intentional about what you want to be creating, so that even if you do have your off days, which you will have, you can come back to center, right? And affirmations, declarations, I am statements are uber powerful, super, super powerful for getting you aligned. And so this is where I really encourage you to think about, okay, what is it that I want to create in this year? And this was actually an exercise that I actually went through with my private clients in the mentorship program, where I helped them really, let's get down to it, right? Like, what is it that you want to create in the new year? And this was something that we did like end of last month, right? We had a group call to do all this, and I think we were even doing that back in November too, already starting to plant those seeds. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that what you create is 100% connected to what you are believing right now. And if you are believing that your life is shit, guess what your life is going to look like 6 months from now, or even 3 months from now, right? It's about, really being intentional about, okay, what we know what you don't want, what do you want, right? And being really clear about that, what that looks like for you, and being open to that, because when you get really clear with that, here's what happens. Because here's what I'm going to share with you today. Not only my favorite affirmations to set the tone for this year, but also why it's important to state what you want. And also, especially right now, what happens when you declare your affirmations and your declarations. And so I was kind of touching into, okay, some of the things that you create, right? When you say anything, really anything. And I've even seen it once, I forgot the quote, but something like you're actually spell casting every single time you speak, right? So if you are doing so, then you get to be really mindful about, what am I saying to myself? What am I saying to the world? What am I saying to the universe? What am I saying to God, right? Because everything that you're doing right now is going to be very much connected to what you end up creating. So I think I even mentioned this on like one or two posts ago on social media, but you don't even need to consult a psychic to know what your future is going to look like. All you have to do is look at what you're believing right now, and that is going to create your outcome in like the next couple months and even this year. So that's why it's really important to get really clear on what you want. And so here's why it's important to state what you want. We are being bombarded right now by distraction. Like, that's not a news flash. I talk about this often. Even like last year and the year previous to that, I was already talking about all this stuff that's coming down the pipeline. This year, it's really coming down the pipeline. Okay. All this stuff that I've been telling you about in the past like year or two, and even like 2 years ago, wait, 2 years ago was 2020. Getting used to it, getting used to it. But yeah, I guess 3 years ago now, I was actually really mentioning this on social media already, that it's really important to be, really honed in on yourself, really honed in on your energy, getting really clear, stepping up into your purpose, and not because, I want you to, right? Of course, I do want you to, but really it's because your expertise, your light, when honed and when embodied, that's when you really show up in service in a big way and you help people even more. And right now, as you can see, the world is in deep need of healing, and more specifically, the healing that you provide, right? So those who find me, who are these new emerging leaders of light, they tend to be more light workers, empaths, star seeds, change makers, visionaries, those kinds of folks. And so if that's you, you're in the right place. And so when you are one of those, right, you have these very profound, deep gifts that are very unique to you and that the world needs, like craves for even. And so, and as I've mentioned in the past, I work with Gaia a lot. I talk to her every day, and and I activate even like her power codes, like at sacred sites on the planet, right? And I was doing that a lot more before, COVID started, right? So, this is something where all of us, we're all doing this together, right? And so that's why I'm always calling folks out from being lone wolves, because, if you know my story, I was like Queen Lone Wolf, right? Like, I was very proud of it. I was very happy about it. I was very comfortable there. No one was going to tell me otherwise. But to be honest, that didn't do shit for my impact in the world, right? Like, I mean, I was being all up in myself, right? And really all connected to, this is what I want, this is what I'm comfortable with. But when you're going it from that perspective, you are not being in service. It's all about you. And that's called selfishness. And when I realized that I was doing that, I was like, whoa, this is what I'm doing, right? Like, I'm choosing myself over being in service. And so I share this with you because we are being bombarded by distractions, by toxins. And I'm not just talking only in the air. I'm not talking about just only in your food, right? All of that, yes. And, like, I mean, they're treating the skies so that we don't even have as much access to the sun, right? I mean, which is not going to happen, by the way, at least not fully. They can try, but it's not going to fully happen. But there's also like wavelengths. There's also vibrational frequencies. There's also energetic toxins that are being pushed onto us right now. And so if you feel that things are feeling intense, there's a reason for that. That's intentional. And they are targeting light workers and star seeds, you know? And that's what's happening, is that they're targeting light workers and starseeds. And so keeping it to the point of this topic today, and so just putting it out there, I'm only going to be answering questions like closer to the end, so that I can share with you what I should share with you, and then we'll get into questions later, and it will all be specific to this topic around affirmations and what you're calling in for 2022. Okay, so just putting that out there. But that is why, you know, star seeds, light workers are being targeted, like literally, energetically, psychically, environmentally targeted, right? And so the faster you know this, I'm not sharing this to like be an alarmist, I'm just telling you what's up, right? And I live in the middle of New York City, and so, I'm kind of in the heart of, I'm in the heart of all this stuff going on, because there's a lot of stuff going on here in New York City. And so this is why it's important for you to get focused on your energy, get focused on what you want to create, get focused on what you're here to create in the world specifically, not just love and light, right? Because we all know light workers are all love and light. But when you're really a visionary, you're actually implementing on the earth plane. And that's what I help my clients with, right? But why it's also important to state what you want is not only because we're being bombarded right now by distraction, but also thoughts declared are powerful and where manifestation begins. So as I mentioned earlier about, everything that you're sharing, you're literally saying in the world, like, this is what I'm claiming, right? So even if it's something you don't want, you're claiming it. You're saying, I really hate blah, 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 right? But you're claiming it by putting it out in the universe, right? So it's really important to be very conscious about what you're putting out in the world, thoughts and actions and words. Very important, very, very important, right? Also, when you're not mindful about what you're creating, you create from an unconscious place, which is not connected to your primary timeline. So let me share with you what I mean by that. So when you're creating all the time. You're creating every day, and you do this by, what am I going to wear today? Or how am I going to approach this day, right? Like you're creating your day at every given moment. And you're creating your future at every given moment with what you're putting out there, what you're thinking, what you're cultivating about yourself. And when you're creating from a place that's unconscious, that basically is kind of like you're just going about your day and you're not really thinking about it. You're not thinking about, what you're saying having impact on yourself or others, right? And that's kind of from an unconscious place. But when you create from that place, you're still creating. So, and your primary timeline is very much connected to your truth, right? So your primary timeline is connected to your purpose in this world, that is connected to your truth, your personal codes that you carry, that you are here to present in the world, right? And your tertiary timeline, on the other hand, is very much connected to all your fears. So everyone who's got fears, I mean, we have all got some fear on some level, right? But it's about, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to like live from that place, or are you going to cultivate something else? Are you going to choose something else? Are you going to choose something higher? Are you going to create from a higher place, right? So that's really, really important. And tertiary timelines are created from fear. And you literally create a life, a paradigm for yourself based on that fear. And so that is a life created by your tertiary timeline. On the other hand, everything connected to your truth, what you're here to create, everything that's, part of you being a visionary in this world, that's very much connected to your primary timeline. So very much, very, very, very important, right? And so here's why, especially right now, what happens when you declare your affirmations and your declarations is that it breaks through the distraction and the noise. So all this distraction that we're having, I'm just going to put it this way. Like, it's already falling apart. Like, there's chaos, things are happening, things are falling apart, and all of the things that are not of light are falling apart. Like, despite how it looks like in the world, it's all falling apart. And it's up to you to get yourself together, get yourself on, and get right with yourself, right? Because when you do that inner work, that's number one, right? You need to do that inner work. Bye, babe. When you do that inner work, then you are able to really step up, stay clear, and just be embodied, and you do cut through that distraction and that noise, and you actually become that platinum sword of light that cuts through anything that doesn't serve you. So it's really, really important. Yeah, Kathy is saying sometimes what seems like a breakdown is a breakthrough in disguise. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. And someone's saying, I catch your lives at divine times. Yes. Never coincidence, guys, that you're here. Okay. Inspiring Goddess is saying you can feel and see the energy crack like the environment that you're in at the moment when energy shifts. That's what I meant to say. Yes, yes, absolutely. Very, very important. And so when you are really clear on your affirmations, what you want to create, and being very intentional about it, you will cut through that distraction energy. First of all, in yourself, that's why you do that inner work. And then secondly, in the world, because that's why you're here to show up as a leader of light, right? By, showing up and creating that impact. Um, so what it also does, it recalibrates your timeline when you commit to the affirmations, meaning that when you declare whatever you want to declare, and then you stay committed to that, meaning like, oh yeah, I meant that last week, but I don't know, I don't feel like that anymore, or I don't feel like it today, or because I mean there will be those moments where you're not on fire or you're not feeling awesome, right? And that's fine and normal. And what the affirmations do, it brings you back to center. It brings you back to, okay, this is what I created when I was, in a really aligned place, and this is what I'm committing to, right? So you can always come back to that center for yourself, right? And it keeps you aligned and it keeps you connected to your primary timeline. Also, it aligns you with your purpose and helps you get clarity on your future actions. So, for instance, when you say certain declarations and certain affirmations that are aligned with your power, your truth, your light, you will create from that place. You will create experiences and offerings from that place. You will create relationships from that place. You will create your lifestyle, your career from that place, right? It's so, so important to understand that it sets the tone. It really sets the tone, and that's super, super important for you to know, because again, life happens, right? And we get disrupted with whatever we're creating. And it's something to really make note of. And so here are my favorite affirmations, my favorite power affirmations for 2022. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything, so I'm just scrolling here. Jasmine is saying, I'm working on pushing through my fears on social media. That's awesome. Nice work. Okay. I love all these thoughtful comments. It's really important to have, this engagement with yourself, right? Because it's not just simply you showing up to some person's live. When you're contributing like this and you're thinking about, well, how does that relate to me? How can I use this information and be better, feel better, show up better? It really makes a difference in your lives, right? And I want that for you. So here are power affirmations for 2022. By all means, this is not the be all end all of power affirmations. These are just some of my favorite ones that I'm going to share with you. And then you can either take them and use them for your own, or you can, change the words up around a little bit and make it more authentic to you. So the first one that I thought of that I wanted to share with you is, I easily lead a powerful movement of light that shifts the power paradigm and heals the world. So, because I'm here helping those emerging leaders of light who are visionaries, star seeds, light workers, dedicated to showing up. This is a very apropos power affirmation for me, right? So, I easily lead a powerful movement of light that shifts the power paradigm and heals the world. So just kind of sit with that for a moment, see how that feels in your body. Does that bring up anything for you? Does it feel solid? Does that feel light? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel inspiring? Does it feel like something that you'd like to embrace for yourself? And if not, what tweak would you apply so that it is? Number two, and by the way, I am going to do a post later on this week to, for some of you who are visual learners, because I polled some of you guys and you were telling me that there was it was almost kind of split down the middle. Some of you were really visual, some of you were more auditory. So I will be putting a social media post for you in case you're more of a visual learner. So, number two, I reclaim all of my power because it is my sovereign right to do so, and it is safe for me to be powerful now. Yeah. People are like, "Oh my God, I can't remember all this." Yeah. They're saying, "Can you write it?" Yeah. So just as a reminder, I am going to be putting out a separate post. I think, what day is it? Monday. Probably tomorrow, actually. I will be putting a post. As some of you already know, I do it around like 12-ish for the first post. And then I do something later on in the day, right? But I will post it tomorrow, so you'll see it there for more like the visuals if you're more a visual person. And screen recording, look at you being proactive. Okay, so that was number two. I reclaim all of my power because it is my sovereign right to do so, and it is safe for me to be powerful now. And if you want, you can even just like repeat it after me, unless I'm speaking too fast, which is entirely possible because I live in New York City. I'm being real, and I own that. So, number three, I embrace all of my money. This is going to trigger some of you, and if it is, ooh, juicy. Love it. I embrace all of my money and abundance in full and sever any and all ties to poverty and scarcity consciousness beyond time and space. So that I know was a huge one for some of you because I know it's something that some of you are working through right now. And even to the point of like even embracing it, right? Because I mean, and that's another piece of the programming, and I'm just going to tell you, I've said it kind of a couple times in the past, but I'm just going to say it again, is that that's part of the programming targeting light workers and star seeds for us to be repulsed by our money, repulsed by our power, repulsed by abundance, basically anything that allows us to thrive, you know? So, that's part of the programming so that we do not own that in ourselves. And so what happens when we don't own that? Then we feel powerless. And then we also are broke and we're stuck in survival mode, right? If that's not addressed. And so what happens if a light worker is stuck in survival mode and they feel powerless? They're not going to show up, right? They're not. Because if you're too busy fending for your life, you're not going to show up in the world because you're like, oh, I just got to focus on myself first, right? And so that is part of the programming, and that's intentional. That's to keep you down. And so, to be honest, when I realized that, because it was successfully at one point, like back in the day, it had kept me down. Because I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't feel powerful. I don't have any money. And I was repulsed by all of that. But then once I found out that that was intentional on me, I was like, excuse me? No, that is not my life. That is not going to be my life. And so that's when I was like, oh, hell yeah, I am owning my power. Oh, hell yeah, I am owning my money and my abundance. All of it, everything that is love, that is God, I own all of that, right? I receive and accept fully and completely, right? So that's so, so important. Um, woman to dote is saying, this one I'm getting rid of this year, working on it, love this one. Yeah, so so important. This is a powerful one, and like I can't even keep up with the comments on this money affirmation. It's so funny. Changing the personal narrative around money, these are amazing. I love that one about money. Yeah, because we got those issues, right? And that's something I used to have an issue with. Like I don't really have that block anymore, right? But that's why I'm here to share with you how to bust through that. So that was number three. I embrace all of my money and abundance in full and sever any and all ties to poverty and scarcity consciousness beyond time and space. And so what you're doing with that declaration, with that affirmation, is you're stating what you're embracing, which is all of it, right? All the money, all the abundance, claiming it all, and severing all those contracts, agreements, that old consciousness and everything, because I mean, if you haven't done that work yet, you totally should go deep into that, right? Around, breaking all the covenants, agreements, promises, vows, all that stuff that are blocking you from your power, right? And so this is kind of like a quick thing, specifically for the money, because it will break those ties. So if you ever had like a lifetime where you had a vow of poverty, or like, you know, something happened in a past life where you then were like, okay, I'm not going to have any money anymore, then this will sever that tie and promise to yourself, right? So that was number 3. Number 4, I easily and gracefully receive all forms of love. This is going to be another triggering one for some of y'all. And joyously give care and tend to my body, mind, soul, spirit, and heart in ways that deeply nourish my being on all levels. So this was an important one too, because a lot of light workers, especially those who are really powerful, and especially those who have been told that, this is natural for you, you should, everything you do should be free, since it's a natural gift for you. It's like, but they don't say that to doctors, do they? Right? And the truth is that light workers, empaths, starseeds, they get that further education as well. You go and do those classes and the certifications and the mentorships and the investments in yourself. That is education, okay? And so, same thing, right? Own that. And so you get to embrace and receive. And, so for a lot of light workers who don't know how to receive, it will block you from your power, and guaranteed will block you from money big time if you do not clear that out. And so these affirmations are designed to clear that nonsense. So that was number 4. So I easily and gracefully receive all forms of love and joyously give care and tend to my body, mind, soul, spirit, and heart in ways that deeply nourish my being on all levels. So it's so important, there is this, I love this, Heather saying, I am choosing, I accept. Yes. And sometimes that's all you need to say to yourself, is that, yes, I embrace that about myself. Yes, I accept that for myself. Yes, I receive. Yes, thank you. I receive more, please. Right? Like that's one thing that I learned from one of my colleagues, where she gets like a huge sum of money, or she lands an amazing client, or something, otherwise wonderful happens to her, and she'll say, thank you, God, more, please. And so that's something that I've also done as well. I've adopted that habit, because, basically you're telling the universe, God, Great Spirit, however you call it, yes, I recognize, I receive, more, please, I'm ready to receive, right? So that was number 4. And just as a reminder, in case some of you are popping in, I am going to be having these affirmations in a separate social media post that you can peruse and save at will, so you don't have to go through this whole replay. I mean, I encourage you to go through the replay, but if you're more of a visual learner, I will have the post tomorrow for you. So that was number 4. Number 5, I completely trust the mystery of the unknown and my light leader path, and release attachment to how it needs to appear. So I know this is a big one for y'all too. I got the good ones, right? And like I said, these are not the be all end all ones, but they are pretty poignant, because I know how it's been for you guys, right? So excuse me. So number 5, because that's the thing, is that so many light workers don't trust themselves. They don't trust their path. They doubt themselves. And so, they'll be like, oh, well, I really want to do XYZ. And then their logical mind comes in and they're like, okay, I can't do it. And it's like they basically kill their dreams before they even get started, because they don't trust. And that is such a huge mistake. They think that their fear is intuition. It's not intuition, it's just fear. So 5, just to say it again, I completely trust the mystery of the unknown and my light leader path, and release attachment to how it needs to appear. Emphasis on releasing attachment. For those in the back, because for some of you, you're going to be like, okay, I will trust myself, but it needs to look a certain way. It needs to look like this. It needs to come at this time. It needs to come tomorrow. It needs to look like this. You know, they put all these criterias and conditions. That's not receiving. That's micromanaging God. Okay, so when you are truly completely trusting the mystery of your path as a light leader, you also must release attachment to how it needs to appear. Because this is something that I've said before, but it's always worth mentioning, right? Because sometimes it just needs to, it sometimes takes 7 points in order for it to land, which I've heard that said before. But, you know, when you are trying to micromanage how things are supposed to look like, what you're really saying is God, I don't trust you. I'm going to try to micromanage this myself because I don't believe you. You're not going to have my back. I'm going to try to micromanage it from fear. That's what micromanaging is about. That's what control issues are about. It's all about fear. It's about fear you're not going to be supported, fear you're not going to be taken care of, fear you're not going to be held. And that's all lies, right? Because if you really truly trust your path, that's not even coming into your consciousness. It's just not. So someone's saying, you have no idea how perfect this is. Got me today. I just journaled about exactly this using many of the same words. Awesome. I love that, right? Yeah, and Heather's saying, love to this feed. I love this human connection. Yeah, you guys are like on fire in the comments section, and I love that. And I love that you're kind of like bouncing off each other's comments and even being supportive and that kind of thing. That's beautiful, right? Because that's called community, and that's so important. Because again, it's not about lone wolfing. And someone in the comments of one of my posts, she put it as they push the sick wolf out, right? That's what a lone wolf is. It's sick. It's the sick wolf. And I was just like, damn. I'm like, damn, and true, right? So that was number 5. I completely trust the mystery of the unknown and my light leader path and release attachment to how it needs to appear. So those were my 5 fave power affirmations I wanted to share with you today for this year of 2022. Um, I am going to put out a visual, they call it a carousel in social media, which is basically a bunch of slides that are consecutive so that, you know, it's a little bit more visually, just for those of us who are more like visual learners, I'll just say. That's going out tomorrow. But how is this landing with you? How is this for you? Does this resonate? Do you have a favorite affirmation you're going to apply today? Because I recommend that you do apply one of these into your life, like today, this week, for this year. So, how is this feeling for you guys? And if you have any questions specifically about this topic, then put them here in the comments. Vida de Amor says thanks. And so is Molecular Vibrations. What a cool name is that? It resonates. Yes. This affirms the path. I'm so happy I found you today. I'm so glad you're here too. Spiritual power back. Yes. Lisa's saying, yes, I will apply them all. Awesome. Awesome. And Heather's saying, I am trusting. Inspiring Goddess says, recharged. I love it. I trust the mystery, says Susie. I have no preconceived ideas. Well, you do, and it's okay to have that. It's called goals, right? But you get to release the stronghold you might have around how that should look like. Like you have your goal, and then you just keep taking the steps forward until you reach it, trusting the process, right? So again, on topic, and those are the only questions I'm going to respond to. Okay. And I love this. Someone is sharing, I am up, I am great, I am bound for my fate. Everything I create, I design and remake. I love that. That totally sounds like a spell. Beautiful. And Kathy's saying, it's all landing well. This year is a focus on breaking those financial blocks. Okay. So if you're curious about me, you can check that out in my bio, right? Because I've already mentioned a little bit about me in the beginning. Um, but it might be it might be good just to like do a very quick brief share on that. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm Margarita and I am an activator for the new code of power as well as the consciousness of oneness codes. And I am here to assist the new emerging light leaders to claim their power, shift the paradigm of power on the planet, and awaken the world. And I do that through power activation work, mentorship, coaching, programs. And, if that's something that you're interested in and you want to work with me, and very important, you know what your purpose is, which is your specific transformation that you provide in the world. It's not love and light, heal the planet, help people, right? That's all light workers do that. I'm talking about your specific change and transformation you provide in the world. So if that's you and you're connected to your purpose and your heart and you are ready to shine in big ways in 2022, then I encourage you to DM me and let's talk about your powerful purpose. And again, that's also meaning that I'm not going to give you clarity on your purpose because that's something that you'd already be connected to. Inspiring Goddess says, yes, I will apply them to my life today and tomorrow. Beautiful. Okay. We are conditioned to be small, but our soul wants to shine. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And someone's asking DM. DM is short for direct message. So it's basically like on Instagram, it's like doing that little airplane, that paper airplane icon. And then once you press that, you're sending me a direct message. So that's what that is. And on Facebook, I think it's something similar. You can just basically click and send a message to me that way, right? So that is for those emerging light leaders who are ready to step up. Because, it's one thing to get a lot of the free content, because I have tons and loads of free content on social media and on my blog and on YouTube, and I do have a website and all that, right? And I do also have a book called Chakra Healing, which is doing pretty well, I'll say. It's like the #1 bestseller in, I think, chakras or something like that on Amazon. So there are so many ways to really connect if you are not yet ready to go deep, but if you are ready to deeply transform, to be activated in your power at literally your divine power level on the DNA level, then that might be your time to reach out. Okay. Someone's saying, you've helped me so much already, 2022, continuing the work and going for more. I love that. Awesome. Okay, so no questions about Power Affirmations for 2022 or what we talked about today specifically on topic? Let me know. Okay. Because if not, then it's a wrap for today. And you're welcome, Allison. I see Allison's here on Facebook too, because I'm doing like a simulcast on Facebook and Instagram. Yes. So, okay, everyone. So this is a really, really powerful time. And my challenge to you is to choose at least one of these affirmations that I've just shared with you and really commit to it. And if it's not something that resonates for you, for instance, switch it up into wording that resonates for you and then commit to that, because that will become kind of like your North Star when shit hits the fan, because it's not a matter of if, but when. And there's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline this year. And I know last year I said it was going to be coming, in the very near future. This is that very near future where a lot of things, it's kind of getting dripped out. It's been getting dripped out, the truth about what's really happening. with everything. I'll just put it there, right? With all the stuff that people are mandating about, and with what people believe, and like, I mean, people are still wondering if extraterrestrial life exists. Like, I mean, we're so beyond that, right? It's like, I mean, some of us are starseeds, so we get to go beyond the whole, is it real? Does it exist? It's like, yes, it does. And yes, it does. And there's going to be a lot of revealing around that, and also around what's actually been happening. And so for those of you who've been really paying attention, you might be really disenchanted with a lot of the with maybe your favorite movie stars or singers, or like, I know that I've been learning a lot of things about certain individuals. I'm like, what? And it's just like a lot of that is going to be coming out of the woodwork this year. And so things are going to be unfolding. And the reason why it's getting dripped out is because if it all came out at the same time, our minds would explode. Like, probably not some of us who already knew all this stuff was already going on, like myself, but it's just literally only a matter of time. And so, and that's also why your work in this world is super important to implement and ground in and embrace within and embody yourself now, right? Because it's not about bracing ourselves, it's about preparing yourself, right? Because it's not, out of fear, like, oh my God, it's going to come, right? Like, it's about, okay, what do I need to do for myself so that I am ready for myself, for what I'm creating, and to really be of service. Because when shit starts to hit the fan more, when you are cultivated in your light and your power and your grace and your abilities, you will be that light. If you're still not really connected to yourself, get on it. If you're still like fighting and resisting your power, clear that shit. Okay? And I'm saying this with so much love because you're going to need that. And people who you're here to serve are going to need that too. So it's really just important to get aligned, get embodied, and that's really, the gist of my work, especially in that deeper one-on-one client work. It's a deep dive, and it's really transformational, as any of my clients can tell you. Really, really powerful. So if that's something that resonates for you and you'd like to learn more, DM me your powerful purpose and let's talk. And in the meantime, I hope this served you today. Today's topic was Power Affirmations for 2022. And I invite you to open up into the next level for yourself. Number one, for you, and number two, the world, right? No pressure. But that's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here for. So just as a reminder, for those of you who are feeling like you want to do the deeper work, make sure that you're connected to your purpose, and make sure you've done already a lot of that deep inner work. And, because like the stuff that I do is really powerful, and it will shift your vibrational frequency like immediately. And you get to receive that optimally when you've already done that deep work, right? Not to say you need to be perfect, because no one's perfect, right? If you were, we'd all be ascended masters right now, right? So just putting that out there, that allow yourself to, open up into the truth of who you are this year, rise up, rise higher, pay attention to what you get to clear, do the deep work, get embodied, and allow yourself to be in service. Okay? So have a very empowered week full of love, light, and power, and much love, light, and power to you.